Hello, this is Chris, and I am back once again with a brand new trailer reaction video. Today, I'm going to be giving my reaction to Venom Official Trailer 2. This trailer actually came out yesterday, and it was everywhere in my sub box. Literally, pretty much every thumbnail to every video in my YouTube sub box was the Venom face. And, you know, I didn't want to, pander to the current trends, so I'm going to wait a day later to do exactly the same thing. I've completely stayed away from this trailer. I was actually at work today and one of my colleagues was like, hey, have you seen the new Venom trailer? And he hit play on his phone and held it in front of me. I was like, no, I can't watch it. I need to wait till I get back and do a reaction video, so you're going to be getting my first time reaction to this thing. I have actually done a reaction video for the first trailer that came out for Venom, the teaser trailer I believe it was, which you can find in the description down below. I'll leave the link there. And it's, in all honesty, it's a trailer I really didn't know what to think about. We didn't really see all that much Venom in there. We kind of got a lot of Tom Hardy in a monologue and sort of like the symbiote, or symbiote as they call it in this movie, which really annoyed me. I remember that being one thing that really irritated me. It's like the small nitpicky things with me. They're kind of like coming out of him and like beating up bad guys, and the CGI didn't look all that great. It kind of looked like a 90s superhero movie. Something akin to, like, I don't know, like Blade or something that came out around that time, or the early 2000s. And I was left a little underwhelmed with it. Now, the director, Ruben Fleischer, I absolutely love Zombieland, and he's directing Zombieland 2, so that I know the guy can direct. Albeit a very different style of film, very different genre, very different feel. And in terms of the cast as well, I mean, you've got Tom Hardy, you've got Michelle Williams, you've got Woody Harrelson, you've got Riz Ahmed. You have a fantastic cast for this movie. I guess what's kind of confusing a lot of fans, myself included, is where this movie takes place in the grander scheme of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, we know that Sony still retained the rights to Spider-Man and all of his rogues gallery, including Venom, of course, and all the other future ones they're going to do. I know they've already got a Morbius movie in production now with Jared Leto. But do they take place within the Spider-Man Homecoming world? Because obviously Sony struck a deal with Marvel to get Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's the Spider-Man that we now have in Avengers and Civil War, etc. But is Venom going to be the villain to Tom Holland's Spider-Man? And that's what I think still up in the air at the moment. I think that Sony at this stage have every confidence of this film that this will bleed into the MCU, but maybe Kevin Feige isn't too hot on that idea, because maybe they would portray the character maybe a bit closer to the comics perhaps, or do some completely different idea with it. It seems very much of a conflict of interests in terms of Sony and Marvel Studios. So with all that being said, we're going to watch the trailer together now. I'm going to talk much more about it afterwards. Yeah, and let's see what's new. I think we're going to get a lot more Venom in this trailer, which I'm totally cool with. So I'm going to click play now. Oh yeah, this is a green band trailer. Yeah, we're not getting a red band.
I'm Eddie Brock. I'm a reporter. I always seem to find myself questioning something the government may not be looking at. I found something really bad. And I have been... Eddie. Who's that bad? Taken. Look around at the world. What do you see? A planet on the brink of collapse. Human beings are disposable. But man and symbiote combined.
Well, they say symbiote now.
This is a new race, a new species. A higher life form.
Maybe it's just that one chick who doesn't know how to say it.
What do you want from me?
You'll find out.
I'm so sorry. We cannot just hurt people.
Look into my eyes, Eddie.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, I love it.
Whatever we want.
It's like that body horror, like David Cronenberg kind of stuff.
Eyes, lungs, pancreas, so many snacks, so little time.
That power, it's not completely off.
I realise that was probably the most attractive thing I've ever done on one of these reaction videos.
Eddie, cooperate.
Oh, T-1000 in this bitch?
You just might survive.
Guys, you do not want to do this, trust me.
This reminds me of playing Ultimate Spider-Man on PlayStation 2.
Will always come at a cost.
Is that Carnage? Why is he not red? Shouldn't Carnage be red? Like, that's his signifier?
We will eat both your arms and then both of your legs, and then we will eat your face right off your head. You will be this honest, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street like a turd in the wind.
What the hell are you?
We are Venom.
This CGI looks terrible.
Oh, I have a parasite. Yeah. Name is Chen.
I'm sorry they completely lost me on Venom there. At the very end. Like, the look of Venom in this is much better than, like, the Topher Grace one from Spider-Man 3, like, of course. But that dialogue is really bad. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Venom from the comic books. Like, obviously, like, I know Eddie Brock works at the Daily Bugle with Peter Parker. And I think, like, in the comic books, he is, like, that very stocky kind of wrestler-looking guy from the off. Like, he's quite a tough character, and then when he becomes Venom, that side of him is, like, completely amplified. So I guess they're kind of going with, like, a similar aspect, maybe. Although it looks like they're definitely making Eddie Brock more of, like, this sympathetic protagonist character. Like, this is an unfortunate thing that happens to him, and it's this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing they're going with, which could work. And I think that if you're doing a film about Venom on his own, I think it would be very difficult to have the main character be like a really like horrible, nasty villain all the way through, because the audiences just wouldn't connect with him. So I guess that's kind of why they're like playing up the empathy with that kind of stuff with his character. It's the dialogue. The dialogue at the end of this trailer for Venom was awful. Like, if that's how Venom talks, and he is like slightly comedic and like sort of like plays with his prey like that, but I don't think I'd ever see a comic book where Venom says something like, you're going to be this legless, faceless thing walking down the street like a turd. Like, that got approved in the script and got through to final completion. Now, someone's probably going to send me an image right now of, like, Spider-Man issue something or other with, like, a frame of Venom saying that line, and I'm going to look like an absolute idiot, but it just didn't click with me. It didn't feel right. It feels like a very cheap movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that sort of lower budget superhero movies could absolutely work. They don't always have to be like 200 million, etc. to make one of these movies, and it looks more street level. I'm just having a look at the budget right now. There's no budget as of yet on Wikipedia where I'm looking, but it doesn't look that expensive. Like, the effects work, of course, would probably be very complex, although to me, it doesn't look that great. There's a lot of shots that are very hit and miss. The scene, like, where all the scenes where he peels his face back look terrible and don't look convincing at all. There was a scene earlier in the trailer as well where he's in some kind of like padded cell and he's like blinking, like a black light on him is like blinking on and off. That looked really cheap. That looked like some kind of After Effect you could slap on it in like 5 minutes. So I don't know. I feel very conflicted on this movie. I've also heard reports as well. Now, these are just rumours, and they're probably not true, because I think fans would riot if this was the case, that he doesn't properly become Venom, and we don't get a lot of Venom in the movie until, like, the final 20 minutes of the film. Kind of repeating the same mistakes and the same pitfalls that Spider-Man 3 did, where Venom was... I blame the studio for that more than Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi didn't want to do Venom, but the studio really pushed for that character and, like, crowbarred him in. Too many villains, and as such, the story weakened because you had to throw him in at the end, and he was, like, a very sort of background, wasted character with not much motivation leading him to that point. Like, in this one, I know that you've got to set up his origin, and we've got to spend time with Eddie Brock first. I get that, but I want a considerable amount of Venom. It looks like the scientist guys are going to create something to counteract Venom, and they're going to create another one. Whether that's going to be actually Carnage himself, whether that's going to be sort of proto-form of Carnage. As I said, Carnage is meant to be red, and it seems very weird if they're just going to make him grey, because I think that there won't be any visual flair to the fights. There won't be any way to differentiate the two characters, really, of Venom and Carnage. I think what they're probably going to do is, because this seems like the most logical, like, clearly they'll be banking on wanting to get a sequel out of this thing. I think it's going to be like a proto form of Carnage, like that they're experimenting with, and then in like a post-credit scene or something like that, it's going to fall into the hands of the actual Carnage character, and that will be our villain for the next movie. That's what I'm guessing they're going to do. And who knows, maybe they will tie it in with Tom Holland at the very end of the movie. Maybe there will be a scene that links this into the greater MCU. But if you notice, it says in association with. Now, I can't remember if Spider-Man Homecoming also says that. To my memory, Spider-Man Homecoming actually properly opens with the Marvel Studios intro, with Michael Giacchino's Spider-Man fanfare at the beginning. This one doesn't. This one's in association with, so it's kind of like that whole Deadpool thing in association with Marvel. It's not actually in the MCU. It's just tied to a Marvel character, and I think that's what it's going to be, which then leaves the character of Spider-Man himself in the MCU at a loss, in my opinion. I don't think there's any point in doing a Venom movie unless you have Spider-Man in that movie. Venom is interesting to me once you put him alongside Spider-Man, and you can get the parallels between the two. Same with Morbius as well. Like, Morbius is just a vampire character. As far as I know, like, I've seen the 90s cartoon. I remember a little bit about Morbius, and he did look like a cool villain, but is he interesting in his own right? It feels like you need the hero to counteract the villain, and that's when you can get the interesting subtext, the interesting context, and like character dynamics. I mean, just look at Batman and his Rogues Gallery. But actually, that's a good comparison because we are getting a Joker standalone movie. Who knows? It seems like this is like going to be a new phase now of these superhero films, is that they're really going to push the villain side of things. We'll just have to see how it goes. In my mind, it won't work, but I don't want to go into this movie with a negative attitude. I have a lot of faith in this, in that Tom Hardy has stuck with this. Remember, he was originally tied to Suicide Squad, and then he abruptly left. There's probably a lot of reasons for that, and probably a lot of DC fanboys and fangirls are in denial, but in my opinion, he wasn't happy with the script. Tom Hardy picks his projects incredibly well, so to me, unless he was contracted and couldn't get out of this, he sees promise in this. He sees a lot of faith in it. But that's pretty much everything I can say on the Venom trailer. So that'll do it for my reaction to Venom Official Trailer 2. Be sure to comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought of this trailer. Are you looking forward to this film, or are you still kind of unsure about it? Anything Venom or Spider-Man or Marvel related, please do let me know. In terms of what's coming up on the channel, sticking with Marvel, we will have our review for Ant-Man and the Wasp out this week. Finally, we get it out in the UK. I think it's been out in the US for about 2 months at this point, or just over a month. And I can't believe it's taken this long to get a Marvel movie out, but that'll be out this week, so look out for a review for that. There'll be a bunch of other stuff coming out as well. I still have a few trailers to backdate as well for these reaction videos. If you've just discovered our channel through this video, please hit the subscribe button. Please also hit the bell icon as well to get notified every time we go live for our movie reviews. They tend to always be live streams, and they happen pretty sporadically, so that's the best way to keep updated with all of our content. That'll do it for me right now, and until the next video, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.